Who are you?
I am Arthur Knight, and this is my wife, Miranda Knight.
Are you Nicholas Rossi?
No.
Are you Nicholas Alaverdian?
Absolutely not.
Keeping up the pretense in Glasgow in 2022, Arthur Knight was one of multiple aliases used by a man who tried to convince the world he was a victim of mistaken identity. This interview was later shown in a Utah court to illustrate the extreme lengths the serial abuser took to evade justice and manipulate others.
Did you fake your own death?
Sharon, we're sitting having a conversation. I've never been dead to anyone.
This bizarre appearance in an Edinburgh court was the first time I encountered Nicholas Rossi. His chaotic departure appeared to set the tone for what was to follow. From the United States to Scotland's Nicholas Rossi spun an elaborate web of lies. He was caught following an international manhunt.
Nicholas Rossi is a person who has used fear, violence, sexual violence, violence of all kinds, to control every situation in his life. This is a case in which he has lost control.
After 3 years of denials and delays, his deception unravelled. Justice was finally delivered.
I sentence you to a term of no less than 5 years and up to life at the Utah State Correctional Facility to begin immediately.
He is a master manipulator, liar, deceiver.
He's a con artist, is what he is. I call him a jellyfish. Because a jellyfish, you can't pick it up, there's no spine to it, but it has long tentacles and it can sting you.
You're now speaking to various media outlets, including
Absolutely.
us. What is the purpose then of this interview?
The truth needs to be known.
As Rossi fought and failed to stop his extradition, STV News travelled to the United States to uncover the complicated past of this convicted sex offender who was born Nicholas Alaverdian.
It's a story that began with an arrest in a Glasgow hospital, and it continues to attract international headlines. Rhode Island is more than 3,000 miles away from where the individual at the centre of this case was arrested. It's here many believe they've always known the true identity of the man behind the mask.
This is Cranston, a small town near the capital of Rhode Island, where Nicholas Alaverdian spent most of his childhood. He lived with his mother and stepfather, David Rossi. The singer, who was an Engelbert Humperdinck impersonator, adopted him when he was 8.
There's Nicholas.
Nicholas took his stepfather's surname, but the pair's relationship was nothing short of turbulent and at times violent.
As a child, from day one, when I adopted him and his brother and sister, they weren't no boggles either. He was trouble. Hit his mother, hit his grandmothers, steal from the other two. Trouble going to school, want to run everything, always want to be in control. He just wanted everything his way. He was the devil's spawn. I took a lot on. 3 kids, her. I took on what no man would, I believe. But I did it, I loved them, I loved her.
When Nicholas was around 13, he was moved into foster care, run by the Department of Children, Youth and Families. He lived at various group homes where troubled teenagers are placed under one roof. It was at this time Nicholas got his first job at Rhode Island State House. He worked with politicians, helping them with paperwork and other administrative duties.
The most common word used by those who knew Nicholas Alaverdian during his time here at the State House was persistent. They say he was a man who refused to take no for an answer. Hi, Brian.
How are you?
Nice to finally meet you.
Pleasure.
Former State Representative Brian Coogan took Nicholas under his wing. He initially thought the teenager was a genuine hard worker who had an unusually keen interest in the law for someone so young.
He kept asking me to adopt him because he didn't have any family and he was in a group home and a foster home, and he was going to live on this very street, a couple houses down.
Why didn't you adopt him?
He called me up one day. He said, Rep, you gotta come down to court. You gotta come down to court. They're trying to get rid of me. So I get down to the courthouse, and as soon as I walk up, he grabs me, hugs me, and embraces me like I was the only thing he had in this world. I said, Nick, whoa, what's going on? He says, they're trying to get rid of me. You gotta help me. And I went in with the judge, and he said to me, he goes, see this file right here? He had a file on Nick. So all the times that he was telling you and the other reps up the state house that he was being abused, cuts and bruises, those were all self-inflicted. He goes, I can't let you adopt him.
Brian decided not to adopt Nicholas, even though the teenager claimed everything the judge said was a lie. Nicholas stayed in foster care and lived in Florida until he was 18. When he returned to Rhode Island, he took his claims of abuse to the next level.
This is where Nicholas Alaverdian returns in his 20s to walk the halls of power in an attempt to gain support for his campaign to improve the children's welfare system.
And I was subjected to torture, beatings, assault in various forms. I was refused to contact anybody at all.
It was at this time he met Representative Ray Hull. Together they worked on legislation to improve the lives of children in care.
Was Nicholas Alaverdian one of those kids who fell through the cracks?
Yes, absolutely. Or why would he be advocating so much to make the change if he wasn't one of them that fell through the cracks? He was a young individual with some tenacity that wanted to change the world, and you could really latch on to him. I'm thinking, wow, here is a young fella coming to us, our committee, and explaining why he needs changes in DCYF. He knows it because he lives it.
At the same time Nicholas was openly advocating against abuse, he sexually assaulted a young woman in Ohio in 2008. This attack happened as the college student was walking to class. He was convicted and placed on the sex offenders register. That same year, Rossi raped 2 different women in northern Utah. He met them both online and became controlling very quickly. When the women tried to end the relationships, he became violent. It is a pattern of behaviour recognised by Kathryn Heckelndorn. The Nick she met at church in Ohio in the spring of 2015 appeared to be well put together, educated and kind. Kathryn knew nothing of his criminal record. By the October, they were married. On day 1, her husband's behaviour changed.
It quickly just turned into a living hell. The control of who I could talk to, cutting me off from friends and family, where I could go, what I did, just leaving the house, what I could wear. Everything was controlled so tightly. He knew how to attack you and abuse you, and as soon as you get the strength to stand up for yourself, he would change his demeanor and act like the victim.
At one point during the 7-month marriage, Rossi locked Kathryn in a bathroom without food for 2 days.
Give me your phone. Stop ignoring me!
She secretly recorded his abusive behaviour on her phone and was later granted a protection order.
Getting out of this negative atmosphere.
No! Stop it!
No! No!
As soon as you start saying no or standing up for yourself, his narcissism isn't being fed anymore, and that lights a fire in him. And he gets violent. Very violent.
She called me up, and she was horrified into the phone. Nick was locking her in the bathroom. He stole her identity. He got credit cards in her name. And she was just on the horrors. I said, Kathryn, you call the police? She goes, I call the police. I'm going to get away from him.
Well, what was your reaction when you got that phone call?
I was horrified. I couldn't believe it. I started Googling Nick's name, and I used all his aliases. I found out he's a registered sex offender. He's suing people. People are suing him. He's got all sorts of court cases going on. He's a dangerous kid.
In June 2017, Nicholas Rossi left the United States and travelled to Dublin in Ireland. He used an Irish driver's licence under the name Nicholas Brown. Back in Rhode Island, State Representative Ray Hull hadn't spoken to Nick in some time. He then received a phone call from him to say he was unwell.
I get a phone call once or twice. I'm in Russia now. I have a sickness, and he's going to be treated. And so that goes on, and then I get another call, I'm dying. I said, Joel, you can beat this, you'll be fine. His voice was scratchy. It's all coming back to me now. He was labored. I felt kind of sorry for the guy, you know, and I encouraged him. I said, I'll pray for you.
In 2018, Utah authorities had been re-examining rape kits from cold cases. Rossi's DNA sample from the assault in Ohio linked him to an unsolved attack in 2008. This led investigators to track their suspect from state to state.
I did everything I could to locate every known law enforcement report in the United States, which led to other countries as a result. And I feel like there is a very good timeline of where and when and what he's been up to.
He was calling me every now and then. And when he called me, I said, Nick, you got everybody looking for you. You got serious charges. He was calm and cool on the phone, talk like a lawyer. Oh, it's all a big misunderstanding. And you almost want to believe him.
Where was he? Where did he say he was?
I asked him where he was at. He says, I'm in another country. I'm nowhere around. They're never going to find me. He says, I'm married with 2 kids now. I said, married with 2 kids? I said, what'd you do? Add water? What's it, like oatmeal? The very last time I talked to him, he called me and goes, Rep. I said, Nick, what's the matter with your voice? I'm dying. I'm in a hospital bed. I'm dying. I said, what's wrong with you? He goes, I got 2 weeks to live. I said, what's wrong with you? And he says, I have lymphoma. I have cancer. I have this. I said, really? I said, listen, you cockroach. I said, cockroaches don't die. I said, you're not dying. I said, you're a sexual predator and you're trying to escape and you're faking your death. You are not dying. He goes, stop talking to me like that. I want to have peace with you. I'm on my deathbed. I said, and I was swearing at it. I was like foaming at the mouth. I said, you're a liar. I said, you're in a lot of trouble. They're going to get you. You can't hide from the law. I said, you know the old saying, the long arm of the law. They're going to get you, Nick.
Live and local news and information on WPRO, Providence, a Cumulus station.
Sad news to pass along. A voice you've heard on the air here on WPRO. Nicholas Alaverdian, he has passed away from a long battle with cancer, leaving his wife and 2 children. Nicholas Alaverdian was 32.
His passing is a very, very sad incident for us, and may you rest in peace, Nicholas.
Next thing I hear a call from his wife, which I didn't know he was married. She's asking me to present the official proclamation of the passing of Nicholas Alaverdian as a memorial from the State House official.
Which you did?
Of course.
How do you feel about that now?
Well, from what I know now to what I knew then, I feel kind of, disappointed, but I would still do it again for the person that I knew who died or passed away. I would still do it, not thinking that he might have set this up himself.
Attempts were made to hold a memorial service at 2 separate churches. The priest here was told to cancel the mass by police. Officers believe that Nicholas Alaverdian may have been vain enough to attempt to attend the service himself to hear the tributes being paid. What did you think when you saw that obituary?
I was furious. I said, this kid is a con artist, is what he is.
Criminologist described Nicholas Rossi as a walking index to a book on forensic psychology.
You can see that as an outgrowth of this grandiose sense of self, this need for attention, this need to be powerful and important and to be seen as powerful and important. And in fact, I think it was the priest who said that the music that Rossi chose for himself for his funeral mass would have needed an orchestra to have played. It's just merely another element, another dimension to the fact that he has an ingrained pattern of behavior which we would call narcissistic personality disorder.
The obituary did raise a few eyebrows in Rhode Island, and suspicion quickly spread. I visited the pub where Nick gains a reputation for his gift of the gab and drinking ability. The achievement of downing 300 pints is celebrated on the walls of the Wickeden.
They had a nickname for him here.
That's right, they called him 3 Questions Nick, because Nick would just pepper them with questions, and then they had a house rule that he was only allowed 3 questions or they would cut him off. So he was known as 3 Questions Nick.
Nicholas Aliverdian, according to everyone, died.
Yes.
Did you believe that?
No, especially the crew here, they smelled a rat almost immediately.
Didn't I tell you when the obituary came out? Wasn't I the first to say it?
Yes, you were.
What did you say?
Nick's not dead. Nick wrote his own obituary.
I was more credulous because I was contacted by his family to speak at his memorial, and his supposed wife called me from Europe. The last time I spoke to Nick, he said he was living in Western Ireland. So I said to this woman, well, how are you doing in Western Ireland? She said, what are you talking about? I live in Geneva. I went, oh, that's interesting. But she said, Nick wanted you at his service because he loved what you wrote about him. And I thought, what did I write about him? I've never written anything about him. And so she read me this very full quote of fulsome praise for him. And I said, I didn't write that. She said, oh, well, no, Nick cherished it.
Do you doubt it all, everything, or do you think?
I doubt everything. I have no idea. I don't know him. I thought I knew, but I don't. And I certainly doubt every aspect of his biography that he told me.
In the UK, a man calling himself Nicholas Brown married Miranda Knight on the 22nd of February 2020, a week before the date of death stated on Nicholas Aliverdian's obituary. It was the fugitive's online footprint that ultimately led police to Glasgow and to a hospital bedside, where this wanted man was genuinely recovering from COVID. He had spent 18 days in a coma.
I followed whatever money sources I could, and then eventually it led me to accessing information in his private email account that helped me identify a location within the United Kingdom. We had been in collaboration with the local law enforcement in Scotland. Interpol had been involved, also the FBI. There's multiple levels of government on both sides of the ocean on this one. The surprise moment was when we found out that he was truly suffering from a COVID exposure.
According to doctors, Rossi had made a recovery, but the man calling himself Arthur Knight continued to use oxygen and a wheelchair. He claimed to be an Irish orphan who had never been to America.
The truth needs to be known. So why am I speaking to you? Why is my wife speaking to you? Because we care about our life and our love.
I was invited into his Glasgow home, where Arthur and his wife insisted he was still an ill man who was caught up in a conspiracy.
People say, allegedly from COVID, I nearly died. And we are terrified. This is a vicious lie, but we are also incredibly disgusted by the fact that we now have to live our lives in a secretive way because my wife can't even walk down the pavement to get a pint of milk.
I know my husband does not have tendencies as a rapist.
This has all happened the dates before you knew him.
This Nicholas Rossi, when you actually read about what he's done, he seems to have done it consistently through his life. So why is it literally going to stop when he meets me? He would never put me at risk. He would never hurt me, abuse me, do anything like what I read about this Nicholas Rossi.
During the extradition proceedings, Rossi repeatedly sacked his lawyers. The court was told of fingerprints and photographic evidence, including a tattoo match. These pictures are from an Interpol red notice that was shown to nurses in Glasgow before his arrest in 2021. The distinctive ink included the crest of Brown University in Rhode Island.
There is no evidence whatsoever that there are tattoos, and I've shown that to news reporter after news reporter after news reporter.
A tattoo artist from Nicholas's home state says erasing all trace would not have been an easy task.
That top one would be a little tough because it does look like there's some scar tissue that would be going on with the books that are open, and then of course with the red.
And can you treat the scarring?
You probably could. You'd have to probably go to a dermatologist for that to see. Again, depends on how deep it is too.
I'm assuming all this removal is very expensive.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it can be very expensive. So that's why I tell people, if you're gonna get tattooed, make sure it's what you want, because it hurts a lot more and it's a lot more expensive to remove it, so.
It was funny about with the tattoos. He had those tattoos when we were married, some of them. He was already in the process of getting them removed.
Is the game up for you?
The game has just started. The game is afoot.
Rossi told the court in Edinburgh he had woken up from a coma to find his arms had been tattooed. He claimed a corrupt hospital employee called Patrick was part of a plot to frame him. Evidence the sheriff dismissed as fanciful and implausible.
NBC 10 News starts with breaking news.
Breaking news, though, first. STV News reporting that a sheriff in Edinburgh confirms that the man who calls himself Arthur Knight is, in fact, Nicholas Rossi, also known as Nicholas Alaverdian.
After a ruling on the issue of his identity, Rossi was eventually told there was no barrier to his extradition.
I conclude that he is as dishonest and deceitful as he is evasive and manipulative. Those unfortunate facets of his character have undoubtedly complicated and extended what is ultimately a straightforward case.
Rossi appealed this decision. 3 judges then rejected his arguments, agreeing with the sheriff's conclusion that the evidence was overwhelming. Nicholas continued to stick to his story. At every opportunity, he would launch into rambling monologues. As he did in this first interview, Rossi would direct his anger towards one man, the former Utah County Attorney.
He has lied and lied and lied in every interview, and he chose the wrong person to try to ignite on fire, because I'm on fire now. And now that we're on the offence, he is going to be needing a very large team on the pitch to try to say that I am a rapist. We will be celebrating David Leavitt's demise with a bottle of Paul Rhode.
In yet another twist in this tale, David Leavitt is no longer in Utah.
You've got an incredible view.
Yeah, it is an amazing view.
After losing his bid to be re-elected, he moved to the west coast of Scotland, where he and his wife fulfilled a lifelong dream to restore a castle.
Sometimes life is stranger than fiction.
This is a place he came to build a new future. You yourself with your family are coming to Scotland to build a new future.
Scotland's a great place. We're coming for different reasons. He's coming to hide, we're coming to live. Scotland was always on the top of our list. The fact that Nicholas Rossi was in a jail 50 miles from here nearly kept us from that. Here is a man that really doesn't really want to face himself and what he's done. And he'll go to such incredible lengths that any credibility that he would have has to fly out the window, even in his own mind, in the mind of everyone else, to make such ridiculous claims. The harder Nicholas Rossi fought against me, the more I understood that there's a reason why he's fighting against me, and it's because he's a person that needs to be locked up.
Nicholas Rossi was removed from Scotland and was flown to Utah accompanied by US Marshals in January 2024. Months later, at a routine bail hearing, the act was suddenly dropped.
I was born with the name Nicholas Alaverdian.
It was October 16th of 2024, and I was sitting in 4th District Court. I had just testified, and He took the stand shortly after and announced who he was, and I remember a very startled look on my face because I had anticipated this being him denying who he was throughout this whole process, and for him to now take this approach at least opened up a better conversation of the events that happened.
Rossi claimed to have hidden his identity to escape death threats.
They threatened to ruin my life, destroy my life, frequent threats to kill me.
You said they emailed you, you said they called you. What are their names?
I don't want to give a mouse cheese.
17 years after the sex offences, Rossi finally faced 2 separate trials in Utah.
The missing pieces in this case are huge and troublesome. She is continuing to talk to this man that she apparently is terrified of.
You heard what Nicholas Rossi did to her. You heard from her how she felt. You saw how she felt as she told you about that. You heard that once she told him that the relationship was over, then he raped her.
That's Nick. We agree that that's Nick. We have no argument that that's not Nick, regardless of what his last name is.
Jurors in Salt Lake City returned their verdict after 3 days of evidence.
We, the jurors in the above case, unanimously find the defendant as follows. To count 1, rape, guilty.
A second rape conviction followed in Utah County. Prosecutors praised the courage of the survivors.
How it altered the trajectory of her life. She said that not only in terms of the harm that I suffered, but also because of the harm, it created conditions that allowed others to harm me again. The injury that continued to follow her and haunt her.
Rossi has said he intends to appeal these rape convictions.
These women are lying, and that what they have done is unjust.
Mr. Rossi, if victimhood is the new status symbol, then it was a status that you falsely claimed for yourself. The jury heard evidence, it found facts, and it ascertained the truth about your criminal conduct. The jury found you guilty of rape, and today, sentencing is imposed in light of that truth. For all these reasons, the court sentences Mr. Rossi to a term of not less than 5 years, in which may be for his natural life in the Utah State Correctional Facility.
1,423 days since his arrest in Glasgow, Nicholas Rossi was sentenced in Utah for a crime he thought he could get away with.
His rational view of himself and his place in the universe is narcissistically driven. Other human beings are a means to an end to his own selfish appetites in a universe that he's created where he can do no wrong and where he is the victim. And it should come as no surprise to anyone that he is incapable of seeing, and if he is, incapable of admitting what he has done.
He is somebody who is a predator because he believes he's entitled to whatever it is that he wants, whether that be a job or money or fame or infamy, because of the publicity now surrounding his sentencing and how he behaved both in the United States and in the United Kingdom, specifically Scotland, will mean that other women will come forward about what happened to them when they encountered Nicholas Rossi, or indeed if they were unfortunate enough to have had a relationship with Nicholas Rossi.
That took years of therapy to just be able to get through a day without that trauma coming back up. He has lived this life of lies and deceit and manipulation since he was a child. He will never change. And if he ever does get out, he will revert right back to it. That is the only way of life he knows. And the emotional damage that he can cause, I just pray and that he stays in prison for life. The monster can't be free.